Hi, how are you? This is Sandstorm here, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4. It has been a while since we've last been on this game, so I don't unfortunately have any of the new DLCs. But I thought we'd just hop back in on a full-length campaign video. Perhaps playing a calm game as Democratic Germany. We're playing Iron Man mode today. See if we can't get any achievements. Alright, so as of recently I've been feeling more like doing some of the full campaign style content. So in the next few videos I think we're going to try and do a few campaigns on various nations, perhaps try and get some achievements and play all the way through until the reasonable end of the game. But today, as I mentioned, we're going to be trying out Democratic Germany, see if we can get any achievements along the way. So we will not be going down the Rhineland branch, however we will not be starting immediately with going down the Democratic branch, as we can see over here with the Alliance. We will be starting with the 4-year plan branch. We're actually going to make our way down to the research slot first and improve the economy a little bit before finally heading into the Civil War, which will set our nation back a little bit, so it's good to have that extra bonus to our initial setup. So we're going to set up our army like usual, set everyone into one army, and just set them near the border of the Civil War so that we can be prepared in that eventuality. Queue up some civilian factories on our side here that we spawn with. And in terms of military industry, we're just going to start producing a lot of guns and artillery. I think today we might be going with more of a support style role, seeing as we will be creating a large faction with a number of nations in it that will be able to provide infantry and cannon fodder, as it were, for the front line. So perhaps we're going to go with a more air focused and tank focused build today, so that we as the human player can provide some finesse, gameplay, and encirclements to speed up the conflicts that we find ourselves in. So we'll add a few factories onto the basic small airframe and then onto the close air support when we get the availability or industrial capacity to do that. In terms of research, I think we'll just set up with the normal electronic mechanical engineering, setting up for a bit of a industrially focused build in the early game, as we're not going to find ourselves in any major wars aside from the Civil War in the first few years of the game. And perhaps we will start researching some aircraft supplies if we're going to be going an air focused build today. Of course, importing all the resources that we need, doesn't matter who from, and I believe we'll create a spy agency before getting started. Alright, so taking a look at the achievements available to us, we have a few that I think are some long-term goals that might be good to work on. Like up here we have Destroyer of Worlds. We can probably deploy a nuke by beer alone. I think we can probably get this one. Controlling Bohemia, Leinster, and Qingdao. We should be able to get that by inviting people to our faction. And then a few others. Maybe we can deploy the nuke on Tierra del Fuego as well, just to get that one. And then there's a few ones we can just get real quick. Oh, maybe not much fun in Stalingrad, but that would be a bit of a pain to capitulate the Soviets without taking Stalingrad. I'm going to work on a collaboration government with our spies, though. Although, speaking of spies, we need to go for the Play It Sam achievement. We're going to try and get a spy network of 50% in Casablanca just by building up in French-controlled Morocco. This should be a pretty quick and easy one. I think we're actually going to end up going with concentrated industry today, because the game plan today would be to free as many nations as possible, liberating other nations inside of larger nations like the Soviet Union, and perhaps establishing supervised states that eventually work their way towards independence. All in all, this will basically end up meaning that we only have the starting area of Germany to build in, along with that of our other allies perhaps. But I'm hoping to make Germany into a bit of an economic powerhouse, similar to how Germany is today. Alright, so we've just unlocked our first achievement, Play It Sam. We just got our 50% intel in Casablanca. So we're now going to redouble our efforts and focus entirely on the Soviet Union, who I suppose will be our main enemy for this game. Alright, so we've just finished up the extra research slot. We're now going to start making our way on the democratic path by starting up the Civil War. We're also going to cancel the MIFO bills because unfortunately we did not start the Civil War before they timed out. Alright, we've just completed the focus to begin the Civil War, so let's just real quick hit the event. I think we're going to continue down with secure the new state as soon as we can. For now we're going to go with army innovations. We're also going to change up to war economy because I believe this is going to be the only time we can do it for a while. Alright, the Civil War has just been completed. We've now got our entire stockpile back. We organized the Air Force and the military. And we're going to begin our focus, secure the new state. I think it's very important that we actually rush down to Baltic membership, I realized, because the Soviet Union, I believe, is going to come from them in around 1940, so we need to make sure they're in the faction at that point, which is going to be a little bit tight with all the focuses that we have to do. We have to do this branch before we can get down here, and then they're all the way down here. But I think it should be possible if we keep moving. Alright, we've just completed Secure the New State. We're now going to work on the actual democratic path of reestablish free elections. And I'm going to work on some designs for aircraft and tanks. Alright, we've just completed establishing free elections. We're now going to work on this rebuild the nation tree while we work on getting up to 40% support for the Democratic Party. Alright, we've just reached 40% support for the Democratic Party. So that in the next tick, we should be able to start. Yeah, there we go. We should be able to start the monarchy compromise and allow us to continue down the democratic path. Alright, a few updates. We've switched to the Germany tag. We're now fully democratic. We have about 125 factories, and that's growing quickly. We're going to start switching over to military production because the Soviet Union has gotten quite aggressive, already occupying eastern Poland in 1938. So we're going to have to speed up this Baltic membership focus. We are getting close, though, so we should be able to have it soon. Alright, so in response to the creation of our faction, the Soviets have announced large-scale exercises, believing us to be having increasingly hostile German rhetoric. So we're going to have to expand our faction quickly to protect the democracies of Europe from the communist threat. Alright, we've just announced the Central European Alliance. It is time to start forming up our democratic faction. Gonna head down Scandinavian membership. I just improved relations with all the nations. And hopefully we can... Oh, Soviets ramp up military buildup. Hopefully that means we can rush down to the Baltic membership and then protect the nations on the Soviet border. Alright, so our faction has just grown. We got Denmark, Norway, and Sweden all accepting invitations to the Central European Alliance. We're now going to move on to the Baltic membership, then hopefully get Polish and Finnish membership before the Soviets can interfere along that border, and then hopefully get everyone else in the faction before we eventually declare war, striking at the Soviet source. Alright, so we've got Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia all accepting invitations into the alliance. The Soviets are now moving to secure their sphere, though, so they're going after Finland. Next, we're going to go with Danubian membership. Alright, the Soviet Union has just declared war on Poland as well, so we're going to have to speed this along and really build up the faction so we can invade the Soviet Union quickly before they conquer too much territory. Alright, we've expanded into Danubia, so we have Austria, Czechoslovakia accepting. Hungary is yet to respond, although I believe they were invited. It'd be nice if we could get them in, although they are fascist, so we may have to conquer them instead. Let's move on to Danubian expansion so that the Soviet Union cannot invade Romania. Alright, now that we have Austria in the faction, we are going to have the opportunity to unite with them. And the unification referendum has just passed, and we have just annexed Austria. Alright, Finland and the Soviet Union have just signed a white peace, I believe, allowing us to invite Finland to our faction now. Alright, so the Soviet Union has just declared war on Estonia, I believe. So it is now time for us to prepare our forces for war. We have a few troops coming out, and a few more tank divisions in the production queue. So I'm going to set up the army for this great struggle while we invite more people to our faction. And we'll try and get all of Europe on our side against the Soviet threat. So the tanks seem like they're absolutely doing the work. We already managed to pull off a quick encirclement where they invaded us slightly. What we're using right now is just a light tank template. These things can move pretty quick though, so once we get a breakthrough, hopefully we can really capitalize on that. We are having a bit of raiding problems because for some reason our divisions are moving through... we need military access through Poland, that's the issue. Alright, hopefully that should fix it, but we are getting raided a little bit. Gonna have to hope that our allies can help sort this out as well. Killed 5 submarines already though. Our naval bombers are getting in some good work. Alright, we've just completed the new expansion. We've got Romania and Yugoslavia both accepting invites to the faction. I think we're going to go with reverse the brain drain next so we can get that research slot, and then we will continue expanding our faction with the final focus of the Low Countries. Alright, so the Romanians have just joined the war, and they are absolutely just walking straight in. I'm going to try and give them air support so that they can do the most work possible, but there are no Soviet troops here. This is a complete surprise attack. Alright, we got the tanks now set up in Romania. Some of them still coming in, actually. I'm not sure why they can't get over here, but we're going to have them make the best use of this breakout over here. It's a pretty thin line down in Romania, whereas they're still committing a few troops up here who are actually able to push with infantry somewhat, but we're trying to keep the casualties down. Alright, we're going to begin the offensive. We have green air in this region. Let's see if we can make a bit of an encirclement up here. Alright, we seem to have inspired the Romanian army to advance as well. This looks like it's going to be a real devastating breakout. Oh, look at the speed of these things. Yeah, these things can really move. And there is a gap. Alright, if we can make this happen, this would be crazy. Alright, we're starting to get out of supply a little bit here, and the tanks aren't running quite as well. But we made a pretty good breakout from what we got. Alright, we're now running at 6 research slots, which is one of my favorite parts about democratic Germany. We have reversed the brain drain, and we are now getting our scientists to work. Alright, our nuclear program is now beginning research, so that by 1945, hopefully we can use our nuclear weapons program. In the focus tree, we actually have a lot of bonuses. We have a bonus over here and a bonus over here, so we should be able to actually get it perhaps a year early in 1944. Alright, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands all joined Low Countries membership. I think we're now going to move on to the shared R&D program. So we're just going to send light tanks up to the more supply region and see if we can capture the northern port. Alright, so it seems Italy has created a faction with Bulgaria and Albania. They have their own military pact, which I guess is going to be another enemy of our new faction later down the road. Alright, there's a masterful encirclement in the works here. We can just grab this one tile. We're going to have a lot in here. But I think they're all retreating into this tile, actually, so we might not get as many divisions as we think. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a lack of coordination between our allies here. But we managed to push them back nonetheless, and Poland has been fully liberated, I believe. Seem to have had a bit of a breakthrough in Romania here. I'm going to send the tanks down to fix that up. Alright, we've just pulled off a masterful encirclement here. As this whole region is encircled except for Odessa. We can send in the submarines to do a little bit of raiding. But at any rate, this is a very important maneuver that was just made. We just caught a pocket of troops trying to de-encircle the encircled portion. Alright, Romania wisely rejects Hungarian demands, so Hungary has sort of been bottled up by our faction. Hopefully that means they don't join with the Italian forces, but I think that's probably going to happen. We'll have to see how the situation develops. And we've got the port now. The entire salient is cut off here. And we've got the Soviet cipher, so let's get that going. Just to clean up this pocket very quickly. Alright, so this is very interesting. The Netherlands has just joined the Allies. And that means that the Allies are now at war with the Soviet Union since they joined the war as part of our faction. So France has now joined, which means we're going to have to give them military access so that they can access the front line. We now have a whole, pretty much the whole of Europe against the Soviet Union at this point now. Alright, another masterful encirclement was just pulled off, but this one's not looking like it's going to hold. Actually going to have to retreat out to try and save ourselves. We are quick enough to do that, though. That is good. Encirclement's actually looking like it's cleaning up quite nicely. Didn't think that was going to be 100% possible, but these tanks are just so quick they can be anywhere at once. Oh, and the overruns, too. Alright, current checkup on the casualties. We're riding at 2.07 million for the Soviets. They've inflicted 300,000 on us, but mostly that's just because we were doing a slow push with infantry across the front. We have inflicted the most with 797,000, and Poland with 500,000. Unfortunately, we still can't invite Poland to our faction, despite us both being at war with the same country. They have strategic reasons not to ally Germany. I think that's because they were declared war upon before we could do the focus to invite them to the faction. Alright, we've just captured Stalingrad. It seems our allies have captured Leningrad. France has actually made a landing here. And for some reason we have a bunch of troops here, so we may as well use them, I guess. Next up, I guess, is Moscow, and then the Soviets are probably done. Alright, we've actually run out of room to build in Germany, so we're just going to have to keep researching our concentrated researches. We're currently riding at 277 factories. Hopefully we can occupy a little land and build something out there. Alright, we just had an Italian declaration of war on Yugoslavia. It seems that they've been ceding some territory, but I think we're going to have to get involved in that. But currently, we are in a bit of a situation with Yugoslavia being invaded by Italy. I think Bulgaria may join this at some point as well, so let's line up some forces along the Italian border, see if we can help out Yugoslavia against the Italian threat. Alright, so we have new developments in the war. We have Hungary joining the Italian League, which means they're probably going to join this war against Yugoslavia. And we've just completed atomic research. Alright, so Japan has just been completing some expansion here, declaring war on the Dutch East Indies as well as the Philippines. This means that America should join the Allies at some point, and it should mean that we should be able to conquer Japan fairly easily once we get through the Soviet Union. The United States has just joined the Allies and joined as our ally in the war against the Soviet Union. This means it should end up pretty soon because the Soviets are now at 86%, and we have surrounded Moscow. Alright, so we've just triggered the Italian Civil War. I believe we should have, yes, we do have control over the Italian puppet. Although they are not aligned, hopefully we can transfer them to democracy at the peace deal. But this means that the war is pretty much over. Alright, so let's see. I think since we do control this puppet Italy, we're going to try and give them as much territory as possible. Then, of course, making sure that Yugoslavia takes their territory back. Alright, so we just finished up the peace conference. It seems that Ethiopia is now able to join the Allies against the Soviet Union. We're not going to be transferring the territory because I have taken a few states that are sort of historically German, as we are completely full in our core states right now. We can build up these provinces despite them having low infrastructure, and we can build inside Italy as well as we transition them towards democracy. The Italian League does still live on. It is a partnership between Hungary and Bulgaria, which we'll have to worry about that later. I did liberate a few nations as well during the peace conference. It seems German Italy got the southern part of this, although it seems it didn't liberate them as democratic, unfortunately. I was hoping to invite some new nations to our faction, but I suppose we'll just have to leave them as they are. Alright, so the Soviet Union has just capitulated. I'm going to try and do a similar thing with Italy, try and liberate some nations, hopefully as democratic this time, and invite them to our faction. But I'm going to see if I can get Poland to take some territory so that they cause world tension. So if they don't join our faction after this, then we can invade them and install them as a democratic regime. Alright, so we actually got not much fun in Stalingrad, because I guess we technically didn't take Stalingrad. I think it was ally or puppet or something. The peace conference went fairly well. Ukraine is democratic, although they still don't quite want to join our faction for whatever reason. They aren't very democratic though, they have a lot of communism going on. Poland got a lot of stuff, but that means we can justify... Okay, apparently they haven't generated any world tension, but I don't believe that because they just annexed a lot of territory. Treaty of Moscow. That was us? Oh my god. Alright, so we still are unable to invade Poland, but we'll see if we can find a way around that because they took way too much stuff. We did create a supervised state in Russia. We liberated the Far Eastern Republic and some other nations like Ukraine and Kazakhstan and some in the Central Asia region that we should be able to invite to our faction soon. So the Soviet Union still exists. It was for some reason liberated, or somebody didn't have enough war score. But we can justify a war goal on them. Alright, so Hungary just declared war on Czechoslovakia. We're going to send in the forces of the coalition. Alright, Hungary has just capitulated. Right now, we're a little bit below world tension. If we can get it up to 100, we can start justifying out people. I'm going to see if we can get it as high as possible. Okay, yeah, so each province is like 1%. We're not getting world tension very high from this. I think I'm just going to establish a supervised state in each of these if I can. Alright, so we got out with Czechoslovakia, returning Southern Slovakia to their jurisdiction, and we got puppets of Bulgaria and German Hungary. Alright, since there's not much going on with world tension right now, we can't do that much. I think what we're going to do while we're waiting on researches is build up into an economic powerhouse. We're currently on 324 factories, and I think we might start some coups with spies in various nations around the world. Since as faction leader we do have 7 operatives. Alright, so we just got Romania and Hungary to accept economic integration under the Integrated War Economies, which means that they will permanently be our puppets now, I believe. Alright, we just got 50 military factories from something. I have no idea what just happened, but I guess we'll put that towards making more tank divisions. Alright, we just got we'll build it in a day, research construction 5, which we have just researched. Alright, the Allies have landed in Japan, which means they're probably going to fall very soon. Hopefully the peace conference will boost world tension over 100%, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. And we've just researched nuclear reactors, so we're going to coat all territory possible in nuclear reactors. Alright, I believe Japan has just fallen. World tension didn't really go up. It looks like China got most of it. We might have to try and stage a coup in China now, seeing as they are not democratic. And I think America took Okinawa and Saipan or something here. Alright, so our civil war has gone off in Turkey. I don't know if it's going to succeed though. We can almost invite it to the faction, it's just we don't have enough world tension, unfortunately. But it is fully democratic. 3 to 25 divisions, 10 to 37. I think they have a good chance on their own, hopefully. Let's see if we can send them an attaché. Italy has also just declared war on us. We're going to have to subdue quickly. They may join the Allies, which would be interesting. Alright, we got Man of 1,000 Faces, everyone the same. Same spy just got captured twice. I believe that's the same right here. Alright, we swept through Italy pretty quick. Created a very large encirclement in the north here. And they have capitulated. This time I think we're actually going to have to take all states because it might raise world tension and we're out of space to build. And of course we'll grab the Navy as well. And world tension barely went up from that. How is that only 13.8 world tension? My goodness. Alright, Communist China and China at war. This could spell interesting. Oh, everyone just left the Allies. That means we can invite some people to our faction now. Alright, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to war at any point in this game because the two main factions are just democratic and the world tension is simply not high enough to get any justifications off, and everyone else who has war goals is just too weak to declare. So I think I might release Italy again and see if they go down their fascist path and perhaps declare war in Yugoslavia again so we can drop a nuclear weapon. Alright, we've just unlocked nuclear bombs. We're now making 7% progress each day. We should have quite a few in no time. Alright, we've just got another achievement, Wunderwaffen, because we've researched all rocket, nuclear, and jet technologies with the advanced guided missile. I think this is probably going to be the last achievement we get on this run unless we are able to get back at war with someone. The world tension is just too low and everyone is being very peaceful right now. The only war goals are Turkey on Iran and Japan, but Japan is too weak and Turkey is in a civil war right now from the uprising we started. So the only war goal I see that's viable is the United Kingdom on Belgium. So what I'm going to try and do is kick Belgium from the faction because I think that the United Kingdom is too afraid to declare war on them right now. I'm instead going to guarantee their independence and hopefully that recalculates the British AI's calculation. And perhaps they'll declare war now. Okay, so France has just invited me to the non-intervention committee for the Spanish Civil War, which is very interesting because the year is 1945 and the Spanish Civil War is still going on. Looks like the Republicans are actually trying to push out of Madrid right now. I'm really not sure how this has happened, but I think this is really the only war going on at the time. Yeah, pretty much the Spanish Civil War and the Turkish Uprising, the only wars happening. And I can't invite anyone to my faction because it's just too low world tension, and the world tension is going down every day because no one is wanting to declare war. So I'm going to try and, I don't know, I'm going to try and revoke the guarantee on Belgium and see what happens. Alright, it looks like Britain still isn't wanting to declare war. So I think this game is just doomed to be peaceful. I think even if I let this run for a few more years, it's probably nothing going to happen, because when we released Italy, they had 0 divisions, and they're not going to declare war on anyone for like many years, because they still have to go down their focus tree and get war goals and build up their army to feel powerful enough. So I think we've probably reached the end of this campaign. It was a bit of a dud, but we did manage to get a few achievements. I'm thinking maybe next campaign we do a similar style, possibly doing a fascist Czechoslovakia or a run as Rome or something like that to get a bunch of achievements. But in any case, hope you did enjoy this video, and stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you then. Goodbye.